public hearing on the proposed county solid waste ordinance. And Dan was, has been in the past, acutely involved with that, obviously when he was our commissioner. And so basically today the public hearing was just to get comments, and it was mostly attended by haulers, and then city people like me and some council people from some different communities were there. Most of the people there were against the current ordinance, or the proposed ordinance, the way it currently sits. And it's, I think we understand that there's a lot of kind of at stake with this, because the county has been accepted in this closed landfill program from the MPCA, which basically says that if the county passes a solid waste ordinance and goes through that whole process and related steps, that the state will take liability for the bench-treated landfill, which is an online landfill, which basically is currently, they think is leaking. And so there could be millions of potentially dollars in cleanup costs that the state would take. If the county doesn't go through the process, the county has liability for this. And so that's kind of the backdrop of it. I guess the problems historically, and this process goes back to basically the early 2000s, is that cost control has been the big issue that we've had ever since this started in the city of Red Wing. Under this scenario, under this ordinance, all the waste would be hauled to Red Wing, go through a compactor grinder process, then it would go to a waste to energy facility that Xcel Energy owns. So as just if you think about that, there's a lot of balls in the air with this, and a lot of potential, controversial parts of this whole thing, And basically the ordinance would require that all waste is hauled to Red Wing. All the haulers would have to bring all their waste. And so right now where it's at is, today was a public hearing. The next steps will be the county, after the public hearing, which went on for, I think it was an hour and a half by the time we were done. The vast majority of people expressed concern about the ordinance, and these were people that either lived out county or lived in the western, say west of Highway 52 for the most part, and then the haulers. And obviously the haulers are dead against this whole ordinance, and they have been from the beginning. We now know that the tipping fees, and I don't have the exact numbers, I was kind of looking for those, or the estimates, but let's say for discussion, probably somewhere in the realm of $80 currently is what haulers would pay to go wherever they're taking their, and this is kind of an aggregate estimate, that it would increase to probably somewhere in the range of $120 a ton. So it would go from 80 to 120. Haulers have indicated that, and again, you have to look at the haulers kind of, and I don't want to say with a grain of salt by any means, but you have to look at, the haulers have in their cost, transportation, their equipment, and then the tipping fees. So obviously, in the western part of the county, if the haulers are not going to Red Wing currently, that, they're going to have increased distance of hauling, plus, the large increase in the tipping fees. What does that correlate into what they're going to charge? I mean, that's up to the haulers, to be honest with you, and it's really difficult to try to just estimate. The haulers have said that, some of the haulers have said they're afraid their costs could go up 50%. Now, if you look at what the residents currently pay, first of all, we have to clarify that, we have a 2-year agreement with Flum, and so that agreement maybe ends at the end of 2019. The rates are locked in there, so they would be able to come to us. Well, they could come and ask for them to be increased, but the council would have to approve that, or basically they could cancel their agreement, but they can't just raise rates, out of the blue. They have to follow procedure. Where in a lot of areas, the haulers can raise rates, within a month or two here, because the city owns or has a solid waste utility. We contract with the hauler, so obviously we have a lot of control that way, but most places in the county don't have that. So basically where it's at is now the county board passed to go to the next step, 3-2, which is kind of how this process has been, either 4-1 or 3-2 ever since it started. And the next step would be that the county engineer, Greg Isaacson, is going to negotiate agreements and meet with all the haulers. And so that's going to be quite interesting of a process, I think. I think they figure, and again, this is what I gleaned from today, so this may not be totally accurate, but 3 to 4 months for that part of the process. And then there will be steps after that. So this probably is going to go through the rest of this year before you have a quote-unquote final approval of everything. I mean, there's still several items that have to be completed before the county board can say, okay, it's all ready to go, we're going to move it on, you know, final approval, I guess. So I'm just going to keep the council kind of in the loop on this as these steps go on. And as I hear information, it's possible that Greg Isaacson will come and meet with us and talk about things as it gets further along. But I just wanted to give you an update on that because we haven't talked about it for a while. It's such an incredibly slow-moving process. I mean, the last time the council talked about this was late 2016, first part of 2017. I mean, I think it was over a year ago. So it's really easy to lose track of this, and so far it hasn't hit us, but you know, chances are it will. And of course, the other thing is with the haulers, and you know, you try to determine what will the cost impact be. Then you've got companies like Waste Management who say, well, you know, we don't know if it's going to impact our rates much, maybe $1 out there. And the whole thing is really difficult to estimate.
You feel the same as I do.
You know, what's the impact going to be? So for Kenyon right now, for the residential customers, through this year, we should be okay, because the process probably won't be done anyway before the end of the year. But as time goes on, it may impact us, and we're going to have the same difficult decisions of, you know, do we take quotes? When we get quotes, do we go with the lowest ones? If we get what I call lowball ones, I mean, it's a tough scenario right now, you know, so the whole thing is. And, you know, the one good thing is with the cost that was put in the ordinance, I guess is where that would be, is the initial tipping fee, Red Wing can set at whatever they want, and the discussion I think has been like around 120, give or take. But after that, it can only go up 5%. So there is some cost control after all that hammering I know Dan did when he was there, and when they talked to all the cities. We really said, we're not against the idea per se, but we need some kind of cost assurance or idea of, you know, especially going forward, that it's not going to go up 30% a year. So, I mean, we do have a little more of that than we used to have, so that's good. But I think it's just that initial bump that's going to be a tough situation to deal with. So.
Well, if we have to go through quotes again, we've had experience.
Yeah. Enough of that slow-moving train wreck for tonight.
Yeah, that's about it.
So I'd like to move on to new business. First item being the liquor store.
So representatives of the Minnesota Lottery have met with us to discuss the Kenyon as a possible lottery sales site. With the closing of the BP station, they were a lottery sales site. The state came to the Muni and, you know, gave Milty, and then subsequently Milty and I met with representatives of the lottery about possibly setting up sales of lottery there. The ultimate goal, if it was approved, or, you know, direction would be a machine. Our idea is not to have the bartenders sell lottery tickets long term, but in the first few months, we would not. They've told us that there probably wouldn't be a machine available, but they're going to have a lot more machines available in the next few months because they're upgrading some of the bigger sales sites, and then they're going to take the old machines and kind of move them to some of the other ones. So I think that's important that there would have to be a machine there. Basically, the way this would work is that the council would have to approve it. The way that the commissions work is the lottery will pay 6% commission for scratch-off tickets and 5% for lotto tickets. There's also a 1.5% redemption commission for winning payouts for both. And liquor committee met on December 28th and was supportive of the concept. And I put some other information in the packet, some of their marketing information. The lottery obviously would provide all of the marketing and all of the equipment and all that kind of stuff for that. Milty, the manager, is, I think, you know, in favor of it, but he's not like, you know, really gonna, I mean, if the council is, you know, has issues with it, we don't move it, the city doesn't move ahead with it, I mean, he's not gonna, you know, be, you know, really that, I guess, bothered by that either, but I think.
We would know because he would be here tonight to tell us that.
Yeah, he's not, but anyway, that's, just at a glance, and you've got some of the specifics on the games and some of that stuff in your packet, I won't go through that. But basically, you know, I guess I look at it, I think, as an opportunity that, you know, that the Muni can, you know, capture some more revenue, and I think there's a demand for it, and we already have the pull tabs there, so I mean, I think it might fit in with that, especially once we get a machine.
Oh, since the
So,
manager is fine with it and the electric committee is in favor of it, you don't see any problems. I see no problems either, so I would move that we approve that we move ahead with it.
And I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
and I think it's kind of a trial and error thing, I mean, we'll, you know, they'll have to see how it goes, and
That doesn't mean we're married to it.
no, but especially once we get the machine, I think it'll
And
be.
we have a note here about the 2019 Rose Fest band, but no information.
Oh, okay, that was sort of a cut and paste error there, I'm sorry about that, but that basically, the liquor committee recommended, and there'll be a contract, I think, that'll come from the council, to go ahead again with Lost Highway. Lost Highway is kind of discontinued operations for the most part, but they said that they still plan on playing a few venues next year, which actually I think increases the, you know, the benefit of having them here, because
They
if
give a
they're
big
paying,
customer discount?
well, if they're paying less, or playing less venues, I think that's gonna benefit the places they do play. But they've had a real good relationship with us in the past. They take the gate, so we don't have the, you know, in the past, when the city, the Muni contracted with, or hired Johnny Holmes, for example, you know, the Muni paid $10,000, and then the Muni kept the gate. Well, that was, in a good year, usually somewhat profitable, but in a bad year, or bad weather, even though we do have insurance, it was a losing proposition. With this, I think we pay $1,000 or $1,500, and then they take the gate, and it's worked out really good for us, you know, because we don't have the exposure. We're not paying a lot of money out, but they do draw pretty well. So obviously, the community sells a lot of liquor and food and things like that. So yeah, you would think so. Johnny Holmes.
Can't believe he's still going.
Yeah.
Well, the Rolling Stones are going back on tour.
Yes,
That's-
yes.
Yeah.
They're older than I am, for God's sake. Next item here would be revised minimum age for firefighters from 21 to 18.
The keyword is decrease, not increase. Decrease
Revise.
the minimum age.
Revise it.
18 to, right, that would decrease the minimum age from 21 to 18. And with the potential retirement of more firefighters, it's becoming harder to recruit, and it would help us increase our pool, so. I don't know if you have, Pete, if you have anything to add to that, or?
No, I'm just pretty cut and dry.
Just a policy change.
Yep.
so long as the rest of the current fire department members are okay with it, there's no legal or any other kind of, damn sure the person was 18 before they went out on a fire. I'm sure there could be legal repercussions there. Otherwise, sounds like a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. We got a lot of, I teach a lot of these kids that are 17, 18, and a lot of them want to give back to this community. They love the community and they want to be part of it, and they can get some good training from experienced firefighters, and you know, as older firefighters leave the force, we have a young group coming in. So I'll move approval that we lower the age from 21 to 18.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Resolution 2019-02, resolution authorizing acceptance of 2018 donations. Well, I'm sure no one's going to object to accepting
Yeah.
free money, but I will move that we approve resolution 2019-02.
And I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Wait a minute now, did I,
Carriage and cutter?
no, never mind. Yeah, next is item D, carriage and cutter day requests for February 23rd, 2019. Grade drop permit, street closings, etc. Use the fire hall for pre-parade meal. Donation to the carriage and cutter day, and approval of the 5K race route. Use of the ambulance garage and snowball tournament. No, that isn't throwing snowballs at each other, that's actually a game. Softball with snowballs.
It might be hard pressed to have an actual snowball tournament. if
It
it's-
could be, it was very touch and go last year. But one motion would approve all these things, and I don't,
Just a quick question. In there, it says donation.
Yeah, you have to
Yes.
do, you're one ahead.
5,000? 1,000? 500?
Oh, you're talking about donations, carriage and cutter, but there's like a agenda item that the donations.
I can't remember.
I've already
Well,
passed
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Oh, you did that one already.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What was it last year? 500? 1,000?
Actually, yeah, there wasn't.
I don't think there was, I didn't notice anything specifying an amount.
Approve $1,000 donation to carriage and
Ah,
cutter.
okay.
Thought there was, but I was so concentrating on that rental property thing that I kind of
Yeah.
forgot about some of these others.
So
All right.
the donation would be 1,000.
Correct. Obviously, I'm not the only one who didn't read closely enough. So, we have
We'll move, we go ahead with the carriage and cutter day requests.
I'll second it.
Good.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 And that passes. Now, here's the item that the Public Works Director has been waiting so patiently for. The Public Works proposed projects. We actually got that out without stumbling over any of the words.
Mark asked about the remaining sales money from the tractor. And so the guys and I kind of made a list and kind of ranked them. And to the shooting from the hip, that's the best price we could come up with, the closest. and that was the top 5 that we had.
You know, look, I actually drove through one of those spots today down on North Street. Ooh, that's a lot deeper than I realized it was.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the remaining funds, you know, from the sale of the tractor and the equipment. And I guess the way that I would recommend proceeding with this is next month we'll come back with a resolution that will move part of this funding, $12,000 from capital to street department and $15,000 from capital to storm sewer enterprise fund. So basically, this is just information tonight, just to kind of get direction or approve, not approval, but just to get the consensus of the council that, you know, we're okay kind of proceeding down this road. Because I think part of the goal when we got the revenue from the proceeds from the sale of the tractor was we were gonna try to put it to tangible use in the Public Works Department, and so this is kind of the rest of that, besides buying the skid loader and the equipment, is trying to do some smaller, if you will, miscellaneous, just maintenance repairs that maybe we wouldn't have done, or I know we might have done a couple of these, but chances are that would have been it, so that, you know, try to get a little more maintenance in our aging, you know, streets and sewers, so. Pretty simple.
All seem like worthy projects to me.
As I said, I drove through that one today, and until the snow and ice melted, I didn't realize how deep that hole was. But so then we come to the final item on the agenda, item F, which is another information item of Mark's appointment to
A committee.
National League of
Yeah.
Cities.
National League of
Small
Cities
Cities
Committee.
Policy Committee. Now, I served in the past on National League of Cities Transportation and Infrastructure Policy Committee. So I was contacted kind of through the League of Minnesota Cities again and said that I would be, you know, interested depending on the committee. So this is one I'm not as familiar with, but, you know, maybe I think it'll be more relevant. I handed out some information, including a kind of a little summary report they did last year. So, you know, this seems like it'll be kind of an interesting, and they meet maybe several times during the year, but, you know, a lot of it's remote, so I will go to Washington DC in March, and that may be it as far as my live meetings go, but it's similar to what I've done in the past several years. I've gone to these subcommittees, so it's very interesting. I mean, like Dan, I don't know if you went to NACO,
No.
the national stuff, but I mean, you get more information out of that than you ever imagined,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. So anyway, that's just information. But just wanted to-
Maybe you'll have more information to bring back to us.
Probably, yeah,
Happens.
absolutely, yep. We'll have some policy, you know, we have a kind of a platform legislative platform we adopt, so, yeah, that's probably the first thing we'll be working on, so.
And that being said, we come to other business, which is the schedule of upcoming meetings. That'd be the Kenyon Municipal Utilities meeting next Wednesday, January 16th at 6 p.m. Our annual EDA meeting Tuesday, January 22nd at 9 a.m. at the KW High School. And our next regular city council meeting Tuesday, February 12th, right here at 7 p.m. Council and staff general comments.
8. Was it say 9 there? Yeah, the EDA meeting's gonna be at 8.
That's what I was just checking.
Ah.
It was 9, I think it may have been 9 last year when it
Okay, I
was
think
rescheduled.
Thank
Yeah, it's gonna be 8, I'm
I've got it on my agenda, or my planner, I'll have to check and make sure I got the right time on that.
Yeah, I've got the email he sent, see.
said 8.
Okay, that's what I went by, so I should have it correct.
Okay.
So, back to council and staff general comments. Dan?
I don't have any.
John?
Welcome, Dan. Another term for the mayor.
You? Richard?
And I'll, just say ditto for that.
No, I won't say ditto, but I will say thank you very much for joining us. I have already in this evening's meeting seen value in your presence here, and I'm sure we'll see much more of it in the future.
Thank you.
You know where a few of the bodies are buried.
I do look forward to working with all of you. I respect the service you give to the city, and so it already is interesting.
Good.
I promise you it'll get more interesting.
Oh, I know.
You don't need to go out of your way to make anything now. Mark?
Welcome, Dan, and I guess I don't have anything else.
Nothing yet? Well then,
It is.
I will call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.